Rob comes to us courtesy of the Hammer Betting Network. The Hammer produces daily sports betting content for every major North American sport. You can visit thehammer.bet. You can go to YouTube, search the Hammer HQ. You can follow Rob on Twitter at Rob Pizzola. If you watch our YouTube feed after the show, you'll be able to see what Canada looks like because he's joining us via video link. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Mark.
How are things in Canada? We've missed you, by the way.
Things are good. It's getting colder now, a little bit depressing. It gets darker earlier. I played a round of golf yesterday, and I was by 7:15 or so was blackout. So just getting into the winter vibes now. I'd much rather be where you guys are.
Are you good at golf or you just enjoy it?
I just enjoy it. I took up golf during COVID, right? When COVID happened and all the lockdowns were happening around me, the first thing that opened up again was golf courses. So I'm like, all right, why don't I just go out and golf every day? And I just became addicted to it. I've gotten a lot better since I first started playing, but I would not classify myself as a good golfer. It's more of a hobby.
How about pickleball? They have that in Canada?
They do. Pickleball is actually really fun to play. They've started showing, I guess ESPN broadcasts pickleball, and they've started to show some on the Canadian networks as well. As much as it's fun to play, has to be the worst possible sport to ever watch on TV. Some of these rallies take forever. It is the worst watching imaginable, but I will say it's definitely blowing up here. Like everybody knows what pickleball is now. Even 6 months ago, nobody had any idea. So we have it. People play it. Just don't watch it.
Solana's a big pickleball player.
I'll actually be making a run at the PPT, the Professional Pickleball Tour, Rob. So I would like you to actually retract those comments because that will be my livelihood very soon.
We'll see if we could get the Hammer to sponsor you or something. Wear some pickleball uniforms or something. At least there we'd have a reason to watch at that point.
And it makes sense. It makes sense because my nickname on the pickleball courts is the Hebrew Hammer. So I think we're working on something here, Rob.
There we go. Perfect. I mean, it's a match made in heaven. What you ever bet on pickleball? Anybody taking pickleball action?
I assume that there's a market for pickleball because there's a market for everything, really. I mean, during COVID, I was betting, European table tennis. So there's something. I bet chess. I've been betting on chess before. So I'm sure there's a pickleball market somewhere. It's just I haven't entered that market as of yet.
Oh, I want to bet chess. I don't know what goes on there, but I want to bet chess.
That's a big thing, though, right, Rob? I was talking to somebody at the gym 3 days ago, and they were telling me that their son is addicted to online betting only on like chess.com or something, where he's just he's watching other people play chess.
I mean, that's a sickness. He should probably seek help if that's the case at this point. I mean, somebody reached out to me. This is not an exaggeration. It was about 2.5 years ago. And they're like, hey, Rob, I'm looking for more betting partners to help me get down on some stuff that I'm looking to bet. I got a huge edge on this and whatever. I'm like, okay, send some of the stuff over and I'll see what I can do for you. And the guy sent over like a dozen just names. So I didn't even know what it was. I started searching it everywhere. I'm like, this guy's sending me chess bets. Like, I'm not going to go betting chess on behalf of this guy. But I started to track the stuff and he was winning at like an absurd clip. Almost like, listen, I don't think there's any match fixing going on in chess because these guys are like, they have too much pride, right? Like if you're a chess player, you're just, you live and breathe chess. So there's so much pride there. But this guy was hitting at such an electric clip that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to start betting this stuff myself too. And I've been betting chess ever since, yes.
And Rob, how lame is it for somebody to preface a question by saying I was talking to somebody at the gym?
Especially when you look like Solana, where he's obviously not going to the gym.
Right.
Like, you don't have to, like, it's okay, Solana. Just be who you are, man. Be who you are.
Like, I mean, who at the gym is telling him I'm betting a lot on chess? Like none of it adds up.
It's like, yeah, I was squatting 500 this morning and I was talking to this guy and
I'd say I was squatting. I was just telling you that I was at the gym.
All right. Rob Pizzola. So how about the Miami Hurricanes? I'm going to do Hurricanes and Dolphins, and then I'll ask you a couple others. Miami Hurricanes are a 24-point favorite on the road in Philly Saturday. They're playing Temple. Hurricanes are 3-0 to start the season. The U is back.
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've been on, so naturally the first thing I'll come do is bet against all the Miami teams right out of the gate. I would fade Miami this week against Temple. Now, granted most of the audience listening is not going to want to do that, but there's a couple things here. It's not just like the Hurricanes are a great team. It's not an issue with that. They have a big matchup advantage over Temple. The problem is that Temple runs the ball a lot. They have a very efficient rushing attack. And if you look at Miami this year, they ran only about 59 plays per game. That's 123rd in the entire country. They don't play fast enough to cover big point spreads. Typically, when you're going to lay big points with somebody, 24, you need to win by margin. You want teams that are going to get a lot of possessions, and you don't want the other team to be a team that's going to run the ball a ton because that takes a lot of time off the clock. So I made this number in this game 21-ish, 21.5. I have an edge on Temple this week, and I did bet it myself.
I understand the logic there. If you're telling me you're going to fade the Dolphins against the Broncos Sunday, this one's going to surprise me. So I want to hear the rationale if that's actually what you're doing. Dolphins, last I looked, Dolphins -6 Sunday home opener against the Broncos.
Yeah, still 6 across the market. I'm actually very high on Miami this year, the Dolphins. I'm holding futures on Miami. I bet against Denver the first 2 games of the year where they were favored at home against the Raiders and the Commanders. I don't want Denver in that spot at any point this season where they have to win by margin. That's not what they're going to do. They're not going to win and cover big spreads. I want them when they're in this type of spot, when they're more of an underdog and all they have to do is keep the game close. Now, I'm monitoring the Jalen Waddle injury situation quite a bit here because I think that would be a significant absence for the Miami Dolphins. You have a very good corner in Patrick Surtain that can cover Tyreek Hill in this game. And then you don't have a huge supporting cast for the Dolphins outside of that. You elevate Braxton Berrios to more of like a every down snap kind of guy. And I think that's
sleeping on River Craycraft.
River Craycraft is hey, he'd probably be the best receiver on the Carolina Panthers with what they're rolling out there right now. But it's just a different type of game for both of these teams right now. You need the Dolphins to win by margin. You need Denver just to keep it close. What's really flying under the radar is actually the Broncos offense has the most points per possession of any team in the league so far this season. They got Jerry Jeudy back last week against the Commanders, and now Russell Wilson's not what he used to be, but he's been a lot better under Sean Payton so far, and they can dink and dunk their way up the field and kind of keep this game close. So I just think it's too many points. I made Miami roughly a 4.5 to 5 point favorite in this game. I did bet the Broncos, and it's really not a fade of Miami. It's just the situation. This happens. You have a team that's 2-0 against the spread, against a team that's 0-2 against the spread. Naturally, everybody just wants to bet the team that's done well for them so far, and you tend to get inflated lines because of that. So from a betting perspective, I like the Broncos this week, but I also just really like the Dolphins this year.
17-0?
I don't know about that, but honestly, Dolphins, I'm a Cowboys fan. Dolphins-Cowboys Super Bowl is one exact bet that I made before the season, and I think that it's very live. That would be my biggest rooting interest.
McAfee said on Monday. He's like, if they play the Super Bowl right now, it is Dallas and Miami. And I just found out in the last hour that the Super Bowl's in Vegas this year. I had no idea.
It is. Vegas, a big hot spot right now. We got Formula One there coming up in a month as well. So, but that would be great.
Got hackers there.
Got hackers. My brother actually had a trip to Aria planned, which is under MGM, and apparently all is good now. So that's the good news. But there was a lot of ransoms to be paid in the last few weeks.
That's your spot, Crowder. You love Aria.
Tell your brother, Rob, don't go to Aria and mess up my roulette tables now. I done hit him in the head for about a year. Don't mess up my roulette table.
They're hoping to get you back out there real soon, Crowder, if you're playing roulette. Trust me. Yeah.
What do you play? You play like you don't play just for the fun of roulette. You have to have a mathematical advantage.
No,
or
that's
else
not
you
true.
feel like you're cheating yourself.
No, I have like an inner recreational bettor in me. I just like know my limits whenever I play. But I love casino games. My birthday's December 12th, so I'm born on 12/12, and there's like something about people who are born on the same day as the same month where roulette becomes all that more empowering for them. Because some people will bet like the month that they're born, the day, the year. I'm just 12, like everything 12. So if I see a roulette table and I look at that sign and I see 12 has come up recently, I'm gonna park my butt there for like the next half an hour and bet 12 over and over.
Router knows what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this cannot be a viable strategy. What Hawk does.
He surrounds about $9,000 on number 23.
Yeah,
Spin after spin for Michael. 23. It's all I play. And then when I'm finally done at a roulette table, I sprint out of there like Mike McDaniel at halftime because I don't want to see the 23 come up.
right. And then you get your comps in the mail like a week later from whatever casino as well, right? The VIP host calls you on the way out the door. Hey, where are you going, Mark? Do you do like 23 and do you look at the wheel and bet the numbers around 23 or just on the board?
Yes, I am geographically centric on the board. And as many years as I've been playing 23, I still don't know what numbers are next to it on the wheel.
That's I can't do what you do. So I bet 12 on the wheel and I bet the numbers that are around 12 on the wheel.
That makes more sense.
Because then you can lock into your number.
Right.
And if it comes close, you're going to win. But when you're just betting random stuff that's all over the board, you don't really have like you don't know what to cheer for in real time.
Interesting.
You know?
Well, I hit Cash Pop for $200 this morning, so I got that going for me. All right, Rob Pizzola. So he likes the Broncos plus the points. Will the Marlins make the playoffs, Rob?
So you can't ask a math guy a question like that where it's a yes or no, because I'm rooted in probabilities. That's the way I function. So I would never say yes, they are going to, or no, they are not going to. You guys will get a real good kick out of this because I knew you were going to ask me about this for the show today. So I ran a simulation of it before we came on air. I have the Marlins to make the playoffs 50.2% of the time this season. It's about as close to a coin flip as can possibly be, but 50.2%. So if you made me bet on it and you said, Rob, you got to bet one way or another, I would say, yes, the Marlins are going to make the playoffs this year, but it's going to be a really crazy stretch with all the amount of teams competing.
What kind of percentage do you need to actually put money on where you would, where you go, oh, it's 56%. So I believe that they're making the playoffs. I'll put money on that.
So it's the same thing of like, if you were going to flip a coin, Mark, and somebody was going to say, okay, what odds do I have to give you where you're going to take heads every single time? There's going to be like some threshold for you, like plus 110 is probably the number for me. Like if you gave me plus 110 on the Marlins to make the playoffs right now, I would bet that in an instant. You give me plus 100. Well, now it's just like, it's even money. Like there's no edge there for me to be had. But so it really depends on the probability relative to the odds that are provided.
I got you. All right. How about let me look here at the college football schedule that applies to this show. Not that any of us are FSU fans, but plenty of listeners are. FSU is a 2.5-point favorite at Clemson on Saturday.
Yeah, it was just kind of like you stuck the knife in really quick. Not that any of us here would be FSU fans or anything like that. I bet against FSU, so let's just keep the trend going this week. I'm on Clemson money line in this game, and listen. It's fair to be concerned about Clemson in this matchup, especially offensively. The last time we really saw the Tigers, and like everyone saw them, they were getting blown out in their opener. Since then, they've been much better. Now, granted, it's been against inferior competition, but either way, what's lasting in a lot of people's minds is the fact that they stunk it up in the season opener. I really like Clemson's defense. I mean, this has been a lockdown defense for years. This version of their defense this year is no different than years past. Already this season, 10th in EPA per play allowed, and they've started with some very, very poor field position over the course of the year. I make this game a true pick'em. So you're giving me one team in an underdog range of plus 2.5 or plus money on the money line in what I think is a coin flip. I bet that. So I like Clemson in this game.
All right, very good. Solana's FIU Panthers, they are getting 10 at home from Liberty. I find myself every year betting on Liberty because they seem to cover a lot. I may have been making that up in my head, but I always throw them into my parlays. Now, granted, my parlays never win, but I always feel like Liberty is always covering and scoring a lot of points.
Well, they do have a great quarterback. Caden Salter, I believe is his name. I've seen him play a little bit. He's a dual threat guy. Putting up huge numbers already to start the year. I don't have a strong opinion on this game, but I think something that kind of flies under the radar, and I'm big on like matchups in football. I obviously never played football. Look at me. I'm like 170 pounds soaking wet, but Crowder could probably speak to stuff like this. I've always felt it's important where if you feel like you play well against a certain style of offense or defense or whatever, that tends to manifest itself going forwards. And if you look at what FIU has had to face in the last 2 weeks, well, they faced dual threat quarterbacks back to back. So now for a third straight week, they get another dual threat quarterback. And I think that just helps in preparation over the course of the week and makes it a little bit easier for a team going forward. So I don't have a numerical advantage here on FIU, but I think that this is like one of those under the radar spots where, you see this time and time again with college football, teams that play the option. Okay, if you played them in recent years and you get to prepare for that, next time around, it becomes easier and it becomes easier and it becomes easier. And I think the same thing when you're facing dual threat quarterbacks. So I think FIU's live in this game. It's just a very subjective opinion. I hope Solana didn't hear that and goes and bets any of his he's got to afford that gym membership, obviously. I hope he's not putting that money on the line or anything like that. But subjectively, I like FIU here.
And Rob, I won't get too Xy and OE, but the concept of that is very intelligent because you've seen those plays and your team knows how to play them.
Yeah, it makes sense. When he explains it, it makes sense. How about the Florida Gators? Crowder's Florida Gators, who he called a high school squad before, what was it? Before the
it was after
Tennessee
the Utah game and then McNeese State, but I didn't think they had a chance to beat Tennessee.
And they held court in the Swamp. Florida is a 28-point favorite hosting Charlotte.
These are typically not the games that I like to play. I've talked about this before. I call this a name your score type of game. Florida is just that much better. And honestly, it really depends on what they want to do in the second half of this game. The likelihood that they're going to be leading big at halftime is pretty high. Typically, we see that. Now, granted, it's college football. Upsets happen. Never say never type of situation. But they're just that much more athletic. And ultimately, I don't like to bet these types of games because I just don't know what the coaching staff is going to do. If you're more in tune with a certain conference or a certain team and you're like, this team will run up the score when they have big spreads, then by all means go and bet Florida this week. I make the number in the game 29, but there's no confidence in me to bet that because, again, late game situations, you just never know when starters are going to get pulled, when they're going to take the foot off the gas. It could be one of those games where it's just like, get a win, get out healthy, and let's move on to next week.
Rob Pizzola, again, I urge everyone, check out The Hammer. The Hammer produces daily sports betting content for every major North American sport and chess, perhaps. You can visit thehammer.bet. You can go to YouTube. You can search The Hammer HQ. Today, Rob, is National String Cheese Day, National Pepperoni Pizza Day, and National Fried Rice Day. Which of those three would be your choice? If I said you can have one of those right now,
I'm pretty hungry right now. I'd take the pepperoni pizza, but I will say, depends on the fried rice. I recently had a brisket fried rice that was like out of this world, which I would
brisket fried rice.
It was at a hotel on Fremont Street in Vegas called Circa. Circa was built 2 or 3 years ago. Probably the best sports book.
How's that? Outdoor poolside sports book.
Stadium Swim is incredible. I would highly recommend it. Even if you go in the winter, they turn all of those into like hot tubs, basically cesspools, because it's the people that are in there, but hot tubs, and you just get to watch games on these massive screens. It's a great resort. I highly recommend it. But there's a place in there called 8 East that has brisket fried rice, and it is like, I don't give free plugs for places unless like they deserve it. Go get the brisket fried rice at 8 East at Circa. Put it on the bucket list. It's delicious. So I'd probably take the pepperoni pizza, but if you gave me that specific type of fried rice, then it's a whole new ballgame.
Wow. I've never heard of brisket fried rice. That sounds delicious. Have you been to Circa, Crowder?
No, but I'm going to go now.
Yeah, that outdoor sports book is supposed to be unbelievable.
Knew nothing about it, but I know I'm in Vegas a lot, and I just sit in the Aria and get beat up this high limit roulette table, so I have time.
Whatever you do, Crowder, don't go to Circa and mess up my craps table over there. All right, I'll stay away from the roulette at Aria. You don't mess up my craps table at Circa. That'll be the deal we have.
I pray next time I go to Circa and you're playing roulette, and I'm gonna bang the don't pass line because that's what I do at roulette. I mean, at craps table. People hate me, Rob.
I hate the don't pass players.
I hate them too. I purposely, when I throw, I purposely throw the dice off the table at them if I can.
That's a great move. No, that's a great move because that's it's like a flex a little bit. Okay, you're going to bet against
me.
You're
going to do that. You want to bet against me? Here, take this, and you give them like a real bad, intentionally bad
move.
toss.
That I am going to adopt that. That's because nothing's more
disrespectful.
First of all, it's always you're always at one end of the table. And it's always a jackass who's just staring you down, right? It's never the guy next to you. It's always a guy, and he's just staring you down. Oh, fling that dice right in his neck. What a great
Because
move.
they know what they're doing. The don't pass guys know what they're doing. So they show up, and they get as far away from you as possible. They're going to take the seat as far away or stand as far away from possible, bet their stuff over there, like trying to go unnoticed and whatever. The worst, though, listen, don't pass is actually the right move if we're talking a pure odds perspective, right? Mm-hmm. It's the right move if you're going to play craps and you're trying to play craps to win money, you play the don't pass line. However, you don't go against the table. And if you're going to do that, you don't celebrate the wins. Like that is the absolute no. You just take your money, you stay quiet when you win. When everyone else is losing and there's the one guy there fist pumping, then I have a real problem. That's where I draw the line.
Well, Rob, I'll tell my Joey Porter story very quickly. Me and Porter are good friends. He played in Miami with me. We're friends to this day. He was at Palms, and he had a $180,000 marker that he just got. He's playing $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 a roll. I'm throwing nickels out on the don't pass line next to him, and when I hit, I'm saying boom, boom, and I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with him.
I mean, A, you're taking your life in your own hands with Porter. B, boom. The guy just lost $10,000. You're saying boom.
I just won 5.
You are just an unlikable soul.
You just don't celebrate, listen, people are going to be on opposite sides of bets all the time, right? But when you do it, you just got to be respectful. I'll never forget, I was in Vegas one time. I was at Caesars for a first round NCAA tournament game. The game went to overtime. It was Butler against Notre Dame. And the guy next to me is cheering the opposite of me for the entire game. Now, I don't unit shame. I don't bet shame. You bet within your limits, right? If you're a $5 bettor, whatever, you do that. But this guy has a $5 ticket and I got a $1,000 ticket. And he's being like really obnoxious next to me. And I'm like, bud, like calm down here. And he shows me his ticket and I'm like, here, I just paid him the winner. I gave him the $10. I said, cheer for me. And he's like, all right, done deal. And he cheered for me the rest of the game and my bet won. So he got a free $10 that would have lost.
That's the right move too. You won. Shut up already, buddy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like let's move on here. Like, don't be obnoxious is my whole thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
If you were muttering boom under your breath next to me while I was losing a bunch of money.
Can you imagine? And he's got, when he says nickels out there, he's not talking about $500. Like, nope. He's talking about the red chip.
Yeah.
Joey Porter's got 10 grand out there and Crowder is betting $5 and yelling boom.
This is when you call over the pit boss and you're like, sir, please escort this guy away.
I got to get this guy out.
Please. Yeah.
Boom.
It's like the movie Swingers. Sir, perhaps you'd be more comfortable at that table over there. All right. Rob Pizzola, his picks. He likes Temple getting the points from Miami, Denver getting the points from the Dolphins. He does think the Marlins are going to make the playoffs, but it's really a 50-50 proposition. Likes Clemson money line against FSU, and the FIU and UF games probably stay away games. And again, go visit thehammer.bet. Follow Rob on Twitter at Rob Pizzola or search The Hammer HQ on YouTube.